Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. In this session, we'll dive into exploring Python modules. Modules are indispensable tools that empower developers to craft code that is functional, elegant, maintainable, and scalable. Modules are filled with functions, classes, and variables, each designed to address a specific task or set of related tasks, enabling you to build complex structures from simpler, reusable components. Let's see how Python modules work through an example. So here I have two Python files in Visual Studio Code. Opened here, I already have named geometrycalculations.py and another file main.py. First, we'll be looking in the actual modules file, and then we're calling it geometry calculations. And here's the problem. It says, create a module called geometry calculations that has functions to calculate the area and circumference of a circle. Also include a rectangle class that has methods for calculating its area and perimeter. In a separate file called main, import geometry calculations and execute its capabilities. So first, let's write in the geometry calculations Python file. We're going to import math, and we're going to create a function to calculate the area of a circle. So define calculate area circle, putting in a parameter of radius, and it calculates the area of a circle given its radius. And we're going to return math.py times radius squared. In another function, we have to find the circumference, so we're going to create a circumference function. Calculate circumference circle with a parameter of radius. Calculates the circumference of a circle given its radius. And we are going to return 2 times math.py times radius. Next, we're going to create a rectangle class. So we type class rectangle. It represents a rectangle with width and height. Then we're going to create an instance of the rectangle. Self, width, and height as parameters, and we're going to assign self.width is equal to width, self.height is equal to height, and then we're going to create functions associated with the rectangle class. Calculate area parameter self calculates the area of the rectangle, and we're going to return self.width times self.height. And the other function that we're going to create is calculate perimeter self calculates the perimeter of the rectangle. And we are going to return 2 times self.width plus self.height. And you're doing 2 times that because there are a total of 4 sides of a rectangle. So let's save that. This looks pretty good to me. Now we're going to move on to the main.py file, where we're going to actually execute, we're going to import geometry calculations. So here up at the top, we do import geometry calculations. We set a variable radius, we can set it equal to 5. And then find the area using the function that we defined in geometry calculation. So what we could do is geometry calculations dot calculate area circle, and notice how Visual Studio Code automatically populates the function. Circumference is equal to geometry calculations dot calculate circumference circle radius. And just to show, we can do area of circle is and then we can do circumference of circle is what we defined. That should produce the area of the circle and the circumference with a radius of 5. And now we can show our rectangle class. So we can do rect is equal to geometry calculations dot rectangle. So we can do 4 and 6. So 4 and 6 is going to correspond to the width and the height. And we can find the area. Rect area is equal to rect dot calculate area. And then rect perimeter is equal to rect dot calculate perimeter. And then we can print it just to show area of rectangle Okay, print area rectangle, rect area, okay, print perimeter of rectangle, rect perimeter, okay. Save that and run it. And here we have the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, so 5 times pi squared is equal to 78.539. Circumference of circle, pi 2 times pi r, which is 31. Area of rectangle, we established 4 and 6, so 4 times 6 is 24 for the area. Perimeter is going to be 6 plus 4, which is 10, times 2 is 20. So it checks out. And we can do another one. We could do radius 7. We could change this to 3 and 9. Save that, run it, and then we're gonna get a different answer. We're gonna get, so 3 times 9, 27 for area of rectangle, and then 3 plus 9, 12, times 2 is 24. And then we're gonna get a different area for the circle and circumference. So, but another thing you can do is you can write something like this where up at the top, I'm just going to put it right here. I'm going to say from geometry calculations, import calculate area circle and rectangle. So what we're doing here is we're only grabbing the calculate area circle function and the rectangle that we established here. So we're not grabbing them all. So that's something that you can do to make the code more efficient and make it run a lot quicker. But this will help you a lot in larger programs. And another thing that you can do is you can use aliases. So if you don't want to write geometry calculations, the entirety of it, you can just do up at the top, import geometry calculations as geo. So up here, instead of writing geometry calculations, you could just write geo.rectangle. Yeah, you can do this in order to make the code more concise and readable. So to recap, modules allow developers to produce code that is functional, elegant, maintainable, and scalable. They're filled with functions, classes, and variables, each designed to address a specific task or set of tasks, enabling you to build complex structures from simpler, reusable components. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.